All right, chapter 5, section 4, part 1. We're going to be dividing polynomials. So a little refresher on long division. You guys have all seen this before, probably in the 4th grade.
That's not one. That's a big number.
Yep, it's a big number. How would we divide 21 into 672 without using a calculator? No calculator. So we ask ourselves, how many times does 21 go into 67? 3. So we would put the 3 up top and then multiply 3 times 21, which would give us 63. And then we subtract. So what is 67 minus 63? 4. Then we bring down the 2. So how many times does 21 go into 42? Twice. So we put the 2 up top. We multiply the 2 times the 21. So that would give us 42. Then we subtract. What's 42 minus 42? 0. So that's our remainder. 0. So this is our answer. So this is just a refresher on how to do long division. But now we're going to involve polynomials with it. So it's the same process, just with x's and numbers and pluses and minuses. So here's an example. This one just kind of walks you through the steps. We're going to work this out together on the next one, but in case you forget on what to do, this just gives you a little explanation on what we're doing. 3x.
That doesn't look very fun.
It's super fun.
Wow.
All right, so we need to take this x and ask ourselves, what times x gives us 4x squared?
4.
For what? If we multiplied 4x squared times x, that would give us 3x's. So just 4x. Perfect. So we write the 4x on top. We write it on top of the other x term. So like we keep all the x's in line with the x's, all of the constants in line with the constants. And just like before, we multiply what's on top with what's out front. So we multiply. So what is 4x times x?
4x squared.
4x squared. And what's 4x times 5? 4 times 5 would be 20, and then we have an x, so 20x. This step is super important. Next, we have to change the signs here. So we make this a minus and this a minus. So you always change the signs.
What?
It was a positive 4x squared. We make it a minus 4x squared. So we change it. Always do that at this step. That way, what's 4x squared minus 4x squared? 0. It cancels out. You always want your term to cancel out. And now what's 23x minus 20x? 3x. Now what times x gives us 3x? 3. So we write that up top. Is it a positive 3? And then just like before, we multiply what's up top with what's out front. So it's 3 times x. 3x. And what is 3 times 5? And now we have to change the signs. What's 3x minus 3x? 0. They cancel out. What is negative 16 minus 15? Negative 31. Can we multiply something by x to give us negative 31? No, because there's no x there. So this is our remainder. The more you practice it, the more you'll get the hang of it.
What's the remainder?
Negative 31. So once we run out of things to put on top here, whatever we get last is our remainder.
Okay, so once I'm done with like the 16, if I get an answer after that,
That's the remainder.
that's why I don't like division, because you know,
So this is our answer.
you have no way of knowing you think you have an answer.
All right, let's do the next one. So this goes inside the box. We have 2x squared plus 7x plus 11. This one goes outside. So x plus 2. So what times x gives us 2x squared? 2x, perfect. And since it's just an x, we keep it in line with the x term. Once we put a number up top, we multiply. Yes. I'll give you guys a second. All right, so when we multiply 2x times x, what do we get? 2x times x. 2x squared. You'll always get the same thing that you started with, because that's always going to cancel. Yeah, it would help to write it down right. What's 2x times 2? 4x. What do we have to do next? Change the sign. So this becomes a negative, this becomes a negative. 4x came from multiplying.
Like 2 times 2x?
So 2x times x, and then 2x times 2. So we have to multiply it to both of those.
2x times x is 2, and then it will be again 2 times 2.
So anything on top is
Now when we add these two rows together, what do we get? What happens to the 2x squared minus 2x squared? It cancels. What is 7x minus 4x? 3x.
Where did you get the second x from?
I'm not actually canceling because it's not
Because this is a positive 2x and a negative 2x, these cancel. So the whole thing goes away. It becomes 0x, and 0x is just 0. Or 0x squared, and that's just 0.
Why?
Because they're the same number, so they cancel. These are not the same number, so we add the coefficients. 7 minus 4 would give us 3x. The x has to stay there. It doesn't go away.
It's like when you first learn how to subtract coefficients.
It would be like saying 2x minus x. What does this give us?
2.
1x. The x doesn't go away. All right. So now we do the same process again. We ask ourselves, what times x gives us 3x?
What times x gives us 3?
3. So we put a plus 3 up top. And then we multiply. So we multiply the 3 with both things out front. So what's 3 times x? And then what's 3 times 2? 6. What do we have to do next? Change the signs because we want this to cancel. So 3x minus 3x, what happens to them? 0, so they cancel out. Then we drop down this 11. What's 11 minus 6? 5.
So it's 2x plus 3 remainder 5.
Awesome. 5 is our remainder. So that's our answer. 2x plus 3 with a remainder of 5.
So we just put R5.
Yep. So we could write our remainder as the remainder of 5, or you could write it as a fraction, which would be 5 over whatever we started with outside. So we started with,
I'm gonna stick to the R5.
so you could write your remainder like this, or you could write it like this.
I think the R one.
You can pick whatever way you like.
Why would you put it's
Why would you put
Oh, you just put
On the SAT, it would sometimes give it to you like this with the remainder. Sometimes it would leave it like this. So it's good to see it. This is another way of stating the remainder. I don't care whichever way you want to leave it. You can write it however you want. Alright. So what goes on the outside? X minus 4. What goes on the inside? X cubed. X cubed minus 13x minus 12. Here, it's a little bit tricky because it skips a term. We have x cubed. We don't have an x squared term here. But it's important when dividing that we have representation from every term. So here, we would have to put a 0x squared. So if we start with x cubed, we need x cubed, x squared, x, and a constant. So you just have to have a space for every term after the one you started with. So if we started with x fourth, x to the fourth power, we would have to have an x cubed, x squared, x, and a number. So you just have to have everything after. If it's not there in our problem, we just put a 0x squared for that place. So we have to include that. So this would be plus 0x squared minus 13x minus 12. Now we need to ask ourselves, what times x gives us x cubed? X squared. Once we put a number up top, what do we do with that? Multiply it times everything out front. So we have x squared times x. What is that? X cubed. And then x squared times negative 4?
4x squared.
Negative 4x squared. Then we change the sign. So this one becomes negative. This one becomes positive. We add them together. So what is x cubed minus x cubed? 0. So those cancel. What's 0x squared plus 4x squared? 4x squared. Now we ask ourselves, what times x gives us 4x squared? 4x. So this would be plus 4x. Once we get a number up top, what do we do with it? Multiply. So we take this number, multiply it to what's out front. So what's 4x times x? 4x squared. What's 4x times negative 4? Negative 16x. We want to bring down this negative 13x. What do we have to do next? How do they cancel? Change the signs. So make this negative, make this positive. So 4x squared minus 4x squared. Segi said they cancel. What is negative 13x plus 16x? 3x. So now we ask ourselves, what times x gives us 3x? 3. Once we put a number up top, what do we do with it? Multiply. So what's 3 times x? 3x. What's 3 times negative 4? Negative 12. Do we have an x? 3 times negative 4?
Yeah. Wait.
Nope, they're just numbers. No x's there. So 3 times negative 4. What do we have to do next? Bring down the negative 12. What else do we have to do? Change the signs to make this negative and this positive. What's 3x minus 3x? Cancels out. What's negative 12 plus 12? 0. That's our remainder. Because we ran out of space to put stuff up here.
So if the remainder is 0, you
don't have to put anything. So our answer would just be x squared plus 4x plus 3. So I just rewrote it from up here. Just to make it look a little bit prettier.
Miss Margaret,
Yes.
why did we change the sign if when 3 times 4 is negative 12?
It was negative 12 here, but we have to change the sign of both of these, so that's where it became positive. So like just like here, we had to change the sign of both of them, change the sign of both of them. You always have to change the sign of both. Another thing I wanted to point out, it's super important when doing this that you are neat and organized with your work. If you see here, all of our x squared terms line up. All of the x terms line up. All of the x cubes line up. All the constants line up. So you want to be as neat as possible just to keep yourself organized. It'll help you. All right, what goes on the outside? X plus 3. What goes on the inside?
X cubed plus 0x squared plus 5x squared plus 11x plus 15.
So,
That's when we don't have an x squared, that's a 0, right?
so do we have an x cubed, so we need an x squared, an x, and a number. We have an x squared, an x, and a number. So we have all of our terms here. So we don't have to include that 0x squared, because we already have an x squared. Everything's represented here. So we have x cubed plus 5x squared plus 11x plus 15. So you just always want to make sure, if we start with 3, we have 2, 1, 0. So where do we start?
The x and x3.
So what times x gives us x cubed? X squared. So we put the x squared term right on top of the x squared. Once we put a number up top, what do we do with it? Multiply out front. So x squared times x is what? X cubed. What's x squared times 3? 3x squared. What do we have to do next? Change the sign. So this becomes negative and this becomes negative. What's next? So the x cubes cancel. 5x squared minus 3x squared gives us 2x squared. What's next? So what times x gives us 2x squared? 2x. So plus 2x. So what's 2x times x? 2x squared. What's 2x times 3? 6x. What do we do next? Change the signs. And then, Sam, what do we do?
Then you bring down the 11x.
Bring down the 11x. Add them together. What's 2x squared minus 2x squared?
Cross out.
Cancel out. What's 6x minus, or 11x minus 6x? Minus 5x. So what times x gives us 5x? Awesome, plus 5. So what's 5 times x? 5x. What is 5 times 3? 15. What do we do next? Change the sign, so this becomes a negative and a negative. What do we do?
You
Bring down the 15. So 5x minus 5x is what? 0. What's 15 minus 15? 0. So what's our remainder?
0.
0. What's our answer?
That.
X squared plus 2x plus 5. What goes on the outside?
X minus 2.
X minus 2. And then before we write this on the inside, we want to make sure. We start with x cubed. So we have 3, 2, 1, 0. So we're good. So we put that in our box. X cubed minus x squared minus 4x plus 4. Where do we start?
X squared.
Awesome. X times x squared would give us x cubed. So we put x squared on top. So now we multiply. What's x squared times x?
X
X
cubed.
cubed. What's x squared times negative 2?
2x squared.
Negative 2x squared. What do we do next? Switch the signs. Add them together. What's 3x cubed minus x cubed? Cancels out. What is negative x squared plus 2x squared?
X squared.
Awesome, x squared. What's next? Awesome. What times x gives us x squared? That's x. So we multiply x times x. What's x times x?
X times x, you said squared.
X squared. And then x times negative 2?
Negative 2, or
Negative 2x. What's next? And what else do we have to do? Change the signs. Don't forget, change the signs. What do we do next?
so
Add them. So what's x squared minus x? Cancels. What's negative 4x plus 2x?
negative 2x.
Negative 2x. So what times x gives us negative 2x?
2.
Positive or negative? Negative 2. So negative 2 times x is what? So we're multiplying out front again. Negative 2x. And what's negative 2 times negative 2?
4.
Positive 4. What do we do next? Change the signs and bring down the 4. So this becomes a plus 2x and a minus 4. Add them together. What do we get?
Zeros.
Zeros. Zeros. So what's our answer?
X squared plus x minus 2.
X squared plus x minus 2. Good job, guys.